But here's why I got into workshops. I was selling mortgage protection, final expense, life insurance, and I was, I struggled for the first like 5 years, and then I finally said, okay, I really got to get this figured out. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to buy as many leads as possible, mortgage protection mailers, and I did that for years. And I started writing over 100 life insurance apps a year. Now, not all of them got approved, but I had one year where 100 of them did get approved, but it took me like 150 applications. It was insane. Now, given I was making good revenue, helping people protect their mortgages, all that stuff, but at the same time, I didn't always want to just sell the life insurance. I wanted to do something different, bigger. How could I change my career? Because the problem that I was running into was no time. I was able to make, almost, I think at my peak life insurance sales, it was almost $500,000 a year in revenue, which was awesome for life insurance. But I had absolutely no time. I would spend the entire weekend processing applications, and this was prior to like iPipeline and Firelight, all these e-apps, right? They were literally paper apps. I was like, okay, this is fun, but now I have no time. I've been able to make some good money, but now I can't even enjoy the money itself. So I started thinking, okay, how do I make more money in this business and be able to help more people? Well, there's only a few ways to do that. More policies, bigger policies, or more bigger policies. That's correct grammar. Or, I went through the team route too. I was like, I'll just build a team out. So I went with an organization, I started building the team. And then I realized quickly, like recruiting the Starbucks from the barista from Starbucks, rather, it's not the right person, right? It takes a special person to actually want to do this business. I said, okay, well, what can I do differently? Long story short, I bumped into a guy that worked with teachers exclusively. This was in California. And he goes, hey, look, you should work with me on these teachers. We help them maximize their pension plans and understand how they work. And then we say, by the way, what about having a 403B? And I was like, I don't even know what a 403B is. But I said, let me just work the teacher market. I can help them with life insurance. And so that's what I started doing. So I was helping them with life insurance. So I would sit down with the teacher. I would show them, or anybody with a pension, I'd show them how the pension actually works, their 100% member-only benefit or beneficiary options. We break it all down. And I was doing a lot of pension maximization life insurance. And what I was doing there is I was saying, hey, look, if you could take the member-only benefit versus the dramatically discounted rate to cover your spouse, you could fill in life insurance and create a tax-free bucket of money, lump sum, instead of a taxable stream of income. And oftentimes it worked out well because at that time, the formulas with the CalPERS and CalSTRS, it made more sense to get life insurance, especially if they were younger, right? And then one teacher said, hey, look, I have this 403B. Can you mind taking a look at it? I said, absolutely. I had no idea what it was, but I was going to say no. So I took a look at this 403B, and then she was like, well, what should I do with it? I was like, well, let me take it back to my office, do some research, do some comparisons. So I went back to the guy. I said, hey, look, here's a 403B. He goes, hey, this is a good opportunity. It was a $100,000 policy. It was in a variable annuity. He explained to me, hey, look, variable annuities have fees. They have all these things. Here's how you can replace it with a better annuity that doesn't have any fees and it has good growth options and there's no market risk. I said, okay, sounds like a win-win. So I got an illustration, sat down with the teacher, said, all right, look, this is what we could do and it's better. And she goes, great, let's do it. What do we do next? I go, awesome, I'm gonna come back and I'll give you an application. I was like, wow, this is going great. Yeah. So then I came back, helped her out with it. It was a $100,000 rollover and I was compensated $7,000 in commissions. I was like, my goodness, I would have to literally write 4 life insurance policies to maybe get 3 to stick, and they'd have to be decent sized life insurance policies for me to make the same amount. And I spent the same amount of time with this person. I go, why don't I just sell an annuity every day? That solves all the world's problems. Well, I quickly realized that selling an annuity every single day was a challenge, right? I said, okay, I'm gonna double down on this teacher market. And that's what I did for years. And I started writing like 1 million annuity premium, then 3 million, then 4 million, then 5 million. I started getting a good clip going on. But the problem is that the 403B marketplace, the deals are really small, like 50,000, maybe 100,000. Every now and then there's a big one and they're like 250, but they're usually small because teachers, in my opinion, they don't get paid what they deserve, right? So they didn't have a lot of extra money to contribute into the policies. I go, well, I really like this annuity business and I like working with teachers, but I also have to look at scalability and time and everything else. I go, well, who else needs an annuity? And I quickly realized that selling life insurance to people that are younger, who just bought a house and starting a family, they don't have the assets for the annuity, nor are they in the right age group, right? I said, well, what age group needs annuities? I go, well, people that are older have money, so what do they need? Maybe I'll just do an annuity seminar. I'll just tell people all about how great annuities are. Well, then I realized quickly that there is no, to this day, maybe one time we'll develop it, a seminar that talks about the value of annuities and how they can truly help people, right? There's not. The marketing is incredibly expensive. People have a negative connotation about annuities.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I need another angle to get in front of these people to help them out. What do they need? Well, Medicare, right? You're already doing Medicare. It's awesome. But I didn't want to go through all of that was at the time where the Affordable Care Act came into play, and everything was changing, and all my friends that were doing health insurance at the time were like pulling their hair out, and they're just going nuts and losing commissions left and right. I was like, I don't think I want to get into this space, right? And so I said, what else do people need? And then I recalled my little expertise I had in Social Security. The reason why I developed that, and the whole reason why I got into this industry, was because my mom got disabled when I was about 14 years old. The only source of money we had, after we lost virtually everything, was a Social Security disability check. I said, wow, I knew a little bit about it. I said, let me really double down on this. And then I quickly learned, I was like, there's so many people out there that need this Social Security information, and there's not too many financial advisors or seminars or programs out there to really help people maximize their benefit. Most of the programs out there are bait and switch, right? I said, let me just double down on this. So I became a National Social Security Advisor. I earned the designation. I said, okay, I'm going to do my first Social Security workshop. And what I liked about the workshop, the first time I was like, this is fun. People are here to watch me. And I was totally nervous. I bombed it. It took me 5 workshops before I really got the groove of it. And even after those 5, I closed 1 deal. And all the other people,
sounds about right.
Yeah, everyone's trying to sell you the world, right? Every IMO or marketer or whatever, they're trying to tell you, this is the best program since Coca-Cola. It's amazing. You'll absolutely crush it. Blah, blah, blah. All it costs is $5,000, $10,000, $12,000, but you'll roll over $1 million a month. You'll make $100,000 like a month. All this stuff. And I bought right into it. I mean, the easiest people to sell are salespeople, right? So I was like, you got it, buddy. I maxed out all my credit cards, and nothing happened from it. Like one little tiny deal. I was like, is this really for me? Is this working? So the reason why I preference that is because a lot of the advice that is given to agents, the advice is given by people who are trying to get you to sell their products, right? If it was truly that good, right, why aren't they out there doing it? Do you think the marketer at an IMO is making more money than a hyper-successful person in financial services? They're not. Right. So if it was that great, why aren't they doing it? And so that was the question that I started realizing. I was like, wow, maybe they're just trying to get me to spend money and not actually teach me on how to do this. So I developed my own little marketing system through massive trial and error, and I've been doing it now for nearly 7 years. I've probably done over 300 workshops. And that's what today's class is about, and you get to see a real live workshop. It's not a perfect system, but it works and enables us to internally write nearly $60 million a year in annuity premium, millions in life, and LTC. And we get to help so many people with valuable information that they're just not getting from the public. And we do it in such a way that it's educational. It's not. I don't sell people these products. I don't push it. We just educate, and they naturally attract. So during that time frame before I got it figured out, which took me, I don't know, probably like 2 years to really get the kinks worked out, I was buying online leads. And I was maxing out my credit card. I was driving all around Texas, and it was great. I was closing some business. But I didn't personally like the online leads as much because every time I called somebody, I'm just a salesperson, right?
Right.
I had no credibility, nothing. I was just like, hey, you filled out information online, and I could rattle off, I'm a fiduciary, National Social Security Advisor, I'm an astronaut. Didn't matter, right? I was still just a salesperson. So I was like, I really like these workshops if I could just get people to want to sit down with me. So I said, okay, I just really focus on workshops, spend all my time and money and effort into workshops. And then Garrett and I have a phenomenal partnership. He came on board back when I was in California in the early days, helping me process life insurance. And he loves online leads. He crushes it. He's better than I am at closing online deals. I said, okay, how about you do the online leads? I'll do the workshops. He's like, perfect. Because the workshops, to me, it's easier. Okay? Because if I do a workshop and people come to a room, they're driving there out of their own time, their own accord, I'm not buying them dinner. Okay? There's nothing wrong with dinner workshops. I've done them. I just prefer not to. They're coming to a library or a community college to get information about, hey, this is how it all works, right? This is Social Security. I'm not bait and switching. And then they want to see me again at my office, or if I come to their house for another hour session. I have these micro filters, but when I see them and have my assistant call, I have credibility. I'm the teacher of this class, right? They came to sit down to watch me. So I'm not calling
them. That's something you'll never get by calling someone.
No, you're just banging the phone.
You're never going to get that.
You're not. And it takes time to get to that point. And a lot of agents say, hey, I've never sold anything, I just want to do workshops. I'm like, well, you really got to have some intricate knowledge on Social Security, basic financial planning, and ideally have some career success with Medicare or life insurance first before you really just jump into it. Even Ryan, it took that you're going to see today at the class, he's going to be the one doing the workshop, and that's intentional because I want to show everyone that, like, look, he's only been doing this this is his second year full time in annuities, and he's crushing it, right? If I did the workshop, they're like, oh, it's easy for you, you've been doing it for so long. So we intentionally have Ryan do the actual workshop, okay? But even so with Ryan, the first year,
he's really good.
Yeah, Ryan's awesome. The first entire year, Ryan did nothing but process paperwork and sell life insurance off my book of business, right? Because he had to have a foundation. He did final expense leads, mortgage protection. He realized quickly, man, this is a grind. He could still make money with it. But then when he started doing the workshops, he was like, whoa, this is way better because people actually want to see me, and I have this elevated perception of credibility, right? It's great. But there's a lot more to the workshop than just going up there, doing a presentation, and getting everyone to sit down with you, okay? One of the big things that we do in our workshop is that it's truly focused, as you'll see, on Social Security. There's other topics there, RMDs, Medicare, cancer, heart attack, stroke. These are other risks that tie into Social Security. But the way that it's laid out, people are not coming to a workshop thinking it's going to be about Social Security, and the first 2 slides are Social Security and the rest is assets under management or
Right.
buying a new. That's how most of them are. Yeah. People are burnt out about that. And so we have a good reputation in this area because it's truly educational. People have even stood up and applauded afterwards without us starting the clap and saying, like, this was actually educational. Everything else we've been to has been people just trying to sell us their services, right? So it's a longer process, but it's a better process because the people that do end up working with you, they want to work with you. You're not forcing yourself. It's cliche to say, but I always like to be the flower and have the bees come to the flower, right?
Yeah.
Flowers don't chase bees. So I want people to naturally want to visit with me. That way, when I visit with them, it's not like I'm pressuring, right? If they have decided to take time out of their day to go to a library, sit there for an hour, listen to me talk about Social Security, and then want to spend another time with me for an hour at the office,
And they're serious.
they're more serious. There's a higher level of intent. And it never fails. There's some people that have a financial advisor or somebody else they're working with and they just want the Social Security report, which blows my mind, but it does happen. So you'll still get charity cases, but that's okay because the cases that do work out easily make up for those charity time donations that you have to go through.